Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host,
Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Good evening, everyone.
And we have another amazing lineup like we always do. A couple of housekeeping notes. Rhonda and I will be on the road. We'll be in Atlanta at the National Book Club Conference this coming weekend, and we are looking forward to being there. I'll have our line of literary themed t-shirts, and Rhonda will be bringing books, and we're going to have a banner about Black Authors Matter TV for people who might be interested in signing up for an interview. So if you are going, we will be excited to see you there and come by to say hello. Also, the National Black Book Festival registration is still open, although we are 92% capacity. So if you are planning to register as an author, please sign up soon because we will be running out of space at some point in the very near future. So we have 2 books to give away tonight because one of them is for a guest that's on the show. The other one is for a guest who was on the previous show that I had to leave early for. So we have 2 books. And we're going to give away one after the first interview. We'll give away the other one after the interview with the author. So we're bringing on our first guest, Rita Gordon. She's been on the show before. And we're happy to have her back. I believe Rita is going to be at the National Black Book Festival. I believe we have so many people registered, I can't keep them all in my head. But I think, Rita, you're registered. Is that right?
No, not for this one. Maybe the
Not
next.
for this one. Okay. I got so many names coming through that, and this year is several people that share the same first name or last name. You know, it's a lot of duplication. So trying to keep all that. By the time we get to the event, I'll know every name. And normal people are really surprised that I know when they come up to the information desk and they give me any information, their first name, last name, even their book, I know who they are. And people are surprised about that. But anyway, Rita, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. So much. I appreciate it.
You have a new book out or coming out. Is it out
I
yet?
do.
Is it out yet or is coming
It'll
out?
come out October 8th of this year.
Okay,
London
so you're doing
Calling.
some major advance publicity. Okay. London Calling. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Just show us the cover
You
again.
put it up so fast. Put it up one
Yeah,
more
it
time.
was too fast. We couldn't see. So it's a romance.
Very nice.
You do
Yeah.
romantic writing.
That's right. So it's an interracial romance. I do both Black and interracial romance, but this one's an interracial romance.
Okay.
You've been very busy because you just released a book in April as well, correct?
Yeah, that one was Troy, and I have that one here.
Okay. Now, is Troy the person's name?
Troy is the person's name. He's
Okay.
a Black bodyguard. That one's a Black romance. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Could be.
so only 2 books this year. Only 2 books this year.
Only 2 books.
Only
For
2.
people, a major feat.
And then you had 7 days in Seattle.
That's right. That's right. 7 Days in Seattle was book 1 of a 3-book series. So yes. That
Okay.
was last year.
And
Yeah.
did you have a book with Budapest in the title?
30 Days in Belfast. That's the
Belfast.
one.
I knew it started with a B. I thought it was Budapest, but it was Belfast. Okay.
That's the one we talked about. Yeah, a couple of years ago, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. So you are traveling in your books to different destinations.
That's right.
You had Belfast, and then you had Seattle. You have London
London.
coming up. Okay. So is this based on your travels or based on your travel research, or do you watch like one of those travel channels and pick up tips from there?
Yeah, so I do travel a lot. Not recently. Most of my travel, most recent, has been domestic. But yes, I did heavy international travel, and a lot of the scenery and is based on what things I've seen or maybe experienced during my travels. The stories are completely fictitious. All of the content is completely fictitious. But many of these places, yes, I have already been to. Yes.
Okay. So do you describe the landmarks and all that? Is that in there? And if so, are these landmarks you've seen or researched?
Yeah, so most of what you kind of see and experience in the stories, as far as if I do talk about landmarks or places I've either been, I have also heavily researched all of the locations. Like in 30 Days in Belfast, wrote that story before I went there, but then I went and I validated everything that I
Okay.
researched. London, I've been several times, so there's a lot of things in London calling I've experienced, some of the restaurants, etc. So, and then there are things that I do have to research. So, but it's a combination of both what I've experienced myself and traveling to those locations, and also, things that I've researched, and then some things are just my imagination too. So.
Yeah, Rhonda's the one between the two of us that's been as world travel. I have been out of the country, but I haven't been outside of North and South America. So, well, except for the Caribbean,
Yeah.
I haven't been to Europe or the motherland yet. So it's on my bucket list.
Well, what I do like about the fact that you've not only traveled to these places, but you've done heavy research, is it helps you to include little nuances in your story, things that people don't just think about when they read about a place or when they're just going sightseeing. I'm from New Orleans, and whenever somebody writes a book based in New Orleans, I can always tell whether they've been there and experienced the city,
Yeah.
or if they only went there and never went past Canal Street.
That's
I want
great.
to know the city. I mean, for instance, we don't go eat at Cafe Du Monde for breakfast every day.
Right.
So something that would totally irritate me if I saw that in a book.
Right, right. And then some of the stories that I've written, I'm very conscious of what is the status of the character and where would they really frequent, and
Yeah.
or what are some of the things that are like in 7 Days in Seattle, there was some high-end restaurants and then some just more like street food places or whatever. And so I've kind of you know set up the scene for both. And London Calling, there's a scene where they're eating at the Wolseley. I've eaten at the Wolseley. I know why a person would go there. And, so there's always some level of context, but then it's relative to who the people are in the story too.
Okay, so is this like everybody who writes, um, and they may cross genres or depending on how prolific their writing is, they kind of pick a lane or they pick a theme and to write about. It sounds like yours is being in different locations.
Yeah, so yeah, you will find that. That's correct. You will find that in pretty much every book that I write. There's location plays a big part of it. So there's that international travel piece. There's also local travel, but there's always the setting plays a role in the story. And then also there's pretty much art and technology in most of my books. And that's because I love art and it's a passion of mine, even though, that's not my trade or anything like that. And then technology, I've come from a high tech corporate background. And
Okay.
so all of my characters are, executives in some technology related company or something like that. So you are absolutely correct. There are things that I kind of stick to that are what I know. I stay in my lane.
There you go.
So you're based in California.
I am.
Are
Yeah.
you near Silicon Valley or?
Yeah, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. So
Okay.
I spent my entire career in Silicon Valley, San Francisco and Silicon Valley. So yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's known for tech.
that's
And
right.
I say you're very worldly if you're over in Silicon Valley.
yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So with AI becoming the next big thing, have you addressed AI in your books yet?
I do, every one of them. All of the executives are executives in AI type technology related corporations, and it plays a heavy role in this one. And Troy, because there are the woman is developing biological technology with the help of AI. And so there are people that are coming after her. So there's some level of real life things that are happening on the biotech front that I include from an AI tech. And then in this book, the current book, London Calling, the gentleman is running a major AI corporation, and he's purchasing or they're acquiring another AI company. So yes, it does play heavily in my stories. And then she's a tech heiress, and her uncle is running a big tech AI conglomerate in the U.S. So
Oh, okay. So I was thinking your answer would be maybe, but you put
no.
all both of your feet in that
Yeah.
area.
I
Because
spent most of my career hiring scientists, data scientists, developing AI technology from years ago. So yeah, it plays a big role in my stories and what my characters
So
do.
it's a major character.
Huh?
A major character in your stories.
Yeah, it is a major character in pretty much all my stories. Yeah.
okay. So
Now,
how
okay,
go
go
ahead, Rhonda,
ahead.
because I've asked all the questions so far. So you go ahead.
Well, since we're talking about AI, there's also been a lot of discussion about whether authors should use AI. And I use AI a lot. I use it so much that it's really hard for me to read social media now because I see these big long think pieces that are obviously AI written that they didn't they didn't rewrite at all.
Yeah.
And so I teach people how to use AI as an author and use it ethically. You don't want it to replace you, but it can be a great assistant.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how AI plays a role in how you write.
Well, it isn't the only major thing it plays a role in is that is kind of the backdrop from developing the technology from the characters. That's what they do. As far as kind of like AI in my work, I don't use it. I think the only thing that I could say would probably come close is what people don't realize is anytime you use Google search, that is AI, and now
Exactly.
they have to disclose. So anybody who's thought they were never using AI are actually using AI because the law has changed, and so anytime AI is being applied to a situation, it has to be disclosed, and that's why now you see that little AI powered by AI logo whenever you're in Google search now. So that's how I use it. When I'm doing my Google search, and
Right.
for example,
I like it for research. Yeah.
yeah, like London Calling, I was trying to figure out like what are the laws around this? What are the laws around this? And I'm in Google, and when you're in Google, you can't, that is the only way you're coming up with results is through AI. So for anybody to say they're not using it and they're saying they're using Google, it's kind of a conflict, right? Because how could you?
They don't know they're using.
They don't know.
They don't realize how much because it does say that AI, and then it gives you like an overview of some of the different things regarding whatever the subject is that
I actually kind of like that when I Google something and it gives me kind of an AI summary of what I'm about to see when I start to look at the listings. I like that, and they do that on Amazon as well. It'll give you kind of an AI summary of all of the reviews
Yeah.
Yes,
for
they've been doing
Right.
that.
Everything that we're being served up on Amazon, all of the information that says, because you looked at this, I'm serving you up this. That's all AI. People, that's been in use for, gosh, more than 10 years now, right? I mean, those are the kind of people I would hire every time you play a game. It's serving up something based on your activity. That is artificial intelligence through data science. And but people just don't understand that they've been using it all along. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Well, it's the algorithm is AI. I mean,
it's
they're
exactly
related.
AI. Yes.
So unfortunately, like when you click something, sometimes I hesitate. And there's so much clickbait out there. There's so much
I don't
that's
want
not,
to. I
and
don't
now
want to see any more.
now they're doing stuff that's not real. Like I'll give an example. I don't know if you all saw this. Somebody and people are doing it for clickbait to monetize their social media platforms. And it's putting false information out there. They had a rowboat with Shaq and Michael Jordan in it. And they were saying that they were going out to rescue the people who were in the floods in Kerrville, Texas. And it was I said, this has got to be fake because it doesn't even make sense. But it looked genuine because, with AI, they can make it look real.
Yeah, they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot.
Yeah,
But yeah,
they're doing a lot.
the only
I
thing
mean,
that I'm doing is searching. So
yeah, it's gotten so now, and it's going to get worse. You don't know what's real versus what's fake. I mean,
that's correct.
and I know crooked people are going to be using it for nefarious reasons, and they already have been.
Right.
Even when the internet was like in its infancy, people were using it for nefarious reasons, and they'll just be able to be more sophisticated with it now.
That's right.
Unfortunately,
There's always some bad guys out there. They end up in my books too. So
they end up in your books. Well, that's a good place for them, and hopefully, bad guys or bad people, they're fun to write because I've done it. So in my two novels, you have your antagonist or just the villain, and they can be fun to write.
yeah.
You can just kind of make them pretty people. And and so tell us about the storyline for London Calling.
Yeah, so London Calling is about two people, this tech heiress who is brilliant, graduated college early, and because she was experiencing some difficulty after her mother died when she was young. Her mother died when she was 5. She has just gone out on her own at 19 and just left everything behind in search of, she's not sure of what, right? She's basically looking for herself. Fast forward 7 years, she ends up in London. She's in circumstances happen where she needs to be in London for a while. Her visa is expiring. And then her brother's best friend happens to live in London. And he is dealing with some PR issues with his company. And it turns out that they both need each other. So they end up in this fake marriage. And and she learns that through this time that they're spending together, that all this time things that she was looking for, she's found in this relationship. So it is a story that is kind of heartwarming. There is a lot of talk about, though, death, because we talk about her mother who died when she was 5, and then she is introduced to this young lady who she helps out, a young woman that she helps out to get into college. Her parents died when she was young. So there's a lot of grief and things like that involved in this book that make it a little bit more touching but there's a love story that's baked and weaved throughout, though.
Nice.
Okay. It looks pretty hectic.
I love story, but I like a good story that centers around the love story. Sometimes love stories can be nothing but the love. You're like, okay, this is corny now.
Yeah, we've got him dealing with his dilemma, her dealing with this, trying to find this thing she's been searching for through her travels. And they're trying to help this young kid who's lost her parents, who's basically was homeless, trying to help her get through high school and get to college. So there's a lot going on in this story.
Well, now
Nice.
what made you decide that romance was your lane?
Hmm. I think because I don't know, I've just found myself always like writing those stories. Those are the things that have been kind of coming to my head is just love stories. It comes easiest. I love to read romance. That's one of my favorite genres. I mean, I read a lot of other things, but romance is kind of what I always go back to. And those are the stories that I didn't know I would eventually write, but those were the stories that I was writing when I was in college, and I didn't know anything about how to put together a novel or write a book or anything like that. And when I began to pick up more romance novels, I realized this is what, my passion is. So,
Okay. Do you have any particular author that you read a lot? Your favorite romance writer?
uh, yeah, I think I probably read a lot of Kennedy Ryan.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I think she kind of got me back into like just hardcore reading, of the romance genre. So I would say her, Beverly Jenkins.
He has strong
Um,
stories. Beverly Jenkins has strong stories, not just love stories, but strong
Strong
stories.
stories. Yeah. So,
She
but
does.
yeah, people like that. And I read a lot of romance, but those are the ones that kind of stick out in my head. So
Okay. So now the London book, it's pretty hefty. You flashed it up real fast, but
I
I know
know
it's hardcover. You're doing a hardcover edition?
this is the hardcover. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that before.
This
And
is
it
the
looks
hardcover.
like it's pretty, like maybe 300 pages.
Yeah, it's 314 pages. It's probably one of my smaller books because a lot of them tend to be like 390 some odd, almost 400. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
314 pages. It's a pretty hefty book. And it covers a lot of. I tried to tighten the story really good, even though it covers a lot of heavy topics, and then the romance as well. But I tried to tighten it as much as I could. So
Now, what
So,
span of time is a
it covers. So she needs to be in London for a 6 month window of time. So it's
okay?
about 5 6 months window of time that it covers. And then at the epilogue, I think I jump ahead probably another 6 months to a year or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
well, I was just going to say, I love the fact that you still write longer books. I've talked to a lot of authors who have moved to writing shorter books
Mhm.
because they feel like people's attention spans aren't as long as they used to be because everybody's
Yeah.
busy. But I just came from the Indiana Black Expo, and there are still a lot of readers. There's still a hefty audience that prefers the longer book.
Yeah.
Was it a conscious decision to continue writing longer books?
It's conscious because I need to tell the full story. And sometimes I don't feel like I could tell the story in a short. I mean, I don't feel like you're going to get the full character development if I shorten the story. And I want you to feel immersed in the character, the scenery, the things that take place. So I spend my time really developing all of that so that you feel like you are in that wherever they are, like you're in London and you're just like a fly on the wall watching this. So the longer the story, it gives me the leeway to really tell you all the things that I want to tell you. I don't feel like I can give you enough information if the story is short. And my
Right.
editor will she'll be like, she'll see something and she'll like, you really need to, I like this. You need to open this up more, right? You need this to be a chapter or something.
Oh, okay. In the final couple of minutes we have left, tell us a little bit about Troy, since that was the book before, right before.
Oh yeah, Troy. This one, Troy is a black bodyguard romance, and you see Troy, and he pretty much is in all of my books or mentioned because these black women executives have used him as their bodyguard. And this is really his story about who is that one woman who was able to capture his heart and get him to, to be not so, that stern person who's always protecting someone. So I was about really figuring out who that one woman was that would capture his heart. But it's a bodyguard romance, and you see him throughout the entire story trying to balance being the protector versus trying not to act on the feelings that he has for this person. So he's got ethics about him. So
okay, well, Rita, thank you for being a guest on the show. Show us the London Calling, Troy. Do you have your other book, the one that was right before Troy, handy?
This is the London Calling. This is the Troy. 30 Days in Belfast and Taming a King are up right behind me. So
okay. All right. Thanks for being a guest on the show, and congratulations on your continuing writing.
Thank you.
Your reviews are good and solid, and so that's always a good sign.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Have a good one.
Okay. Have a great night. Okay. Before we bring on our next guest, we're going to give away one book. And the book we're giving away is by Christine Pride. She was on the show a couple of weeks ago, All the Men I've Loved Again. So the trivia for that, and Rhonda's going to drop it in the chat, is the main character, Cora Bell, is totally unprepared to meet the handsome, dark-skinned Southerner at her college campus. What is the fine brother's name? So if you know the name of the fine brother in the book, then drop it in the chat and we'll send this book to you. If you haven't won a book before on the show, then you'll need to DM us your mailing address. But I have a feeling that a regular reviewer will probably, but it's open to anyone who's watching. And we only do this during the live. So if you watch the replay, you can't win a book because it's only during the live. So
well, they win a book anyway because the people on the live answer so quickly they wouldn't.
They do. That's true. So our next guest is someone I've never met, but I've been seeing her work mentioned for a long time. And her name is Lisa Dodson. She writes romantic suspense. And, the romance genre for African-American writers is really, really seems like it's experiencing a renaissance. So, Lisa, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. Oh, we need to unmute.
I fall for this every time. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You think I would do that? I would get used to unmuting, but not so much.
Yeah, it happens often. So tell us a little bit about you and your writing and how you got started with your writing career.
Okay, well, I have been around, I think my first book got published as an anthology back in 2004 called Love is Blind. That was an anthology with veteran author Perry Ebony Satin Brown and also Pat Simmons. And so I literally met the two of them at the Romance Slam Jam when it was in Durham, North Carolina. And so I've actually come full circle. At the time, I lived in Aurora, Illinois, outside of Chicago. And now I'm in Raleigh in the Durham area 21 years later. So I met them and I was literally ran into Pat as she was coming out of an editor pitch session. And she was like, "Hey, you want to write a book with me?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so that is literally how I got started. I got my start in writing. So each of us went off and created a short story about a blind date that was set up and how the characters have to progress through that. So each of us did a different take on how two characters meet during a blind date. And so I have literally been writing ever since. That's when I first got published. Now, I've been a closet writer years before that. I used to write fan fiction for the popular 80s TV show Remington Steele. So I think I just dated myself. But if anybody knows that show, I used to write short stories based on those two characters.
Oh,
You
okay.
are bringing back so many memories just from the jump. I mean, Pat Simmons, Superman Slam Jam, Ebony Satin Brown. I'm like, come
Right.
on. Now you're in
Old
steel.
school,
I'm up
old
here.
school.
Yeah, I haven't seen Perry. Is she still writing?
I am not sure. I've seen her ever so often on social media. We know Pat Simmons is
Yes, because I
writing
run
books
into
and
her.
taking names. She's
Yes.
award-winning, national best-selling. So she's around.
Mhm.
And so she is definitely still in the game. I'm sure Perry is as well, but I've kind of lost touch with Perry. But yeah, it's just it was amazing. And that's one thing I kind of is my advice to aspiring authors is to put yourself around the people that you want to be. So if you would like to be a published author, you've got to put yourself around published authors because that's how you learn, that's how you grow. And you and these writing conferences all nationwide and international now provide just that, the opportunity for you to kind of get to mix and mingle with fellow aspiring writers, veterans in the field, newbies that have just started publishing works, and industry professionals.
And I agree. It's it's really inspiring, and a lot of people when they go to a book conference or a book festival or whatever. I know when people come to the National Black Book Festival, some of them come because and they're thinking about writing a book when they come, and because they're immersed in with all of these authors and publishers and people in the industry for a whole weekend, they really that gives them the extra push to actually do it. And then a lot of times the following year, they'll come back with their own book, or it might be a year or
Right,
two. They'll
right.
come back and they'll have their own book done.
Yeah, and it's such a it's a writing in and of itself. I don't know an author yet that would not love to just be sitting home with a notepad and a pen or a laptop and just cranking out stories. It's a solid lifestyle, solitary
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Mhm.
But when you go to these conventions and stuff, number one, you can see that you're not alone. And so
Right.
writing is a very lone type of thing. But when you go out to these events, you see you're not alone. And that, I don't know if anybody else can attest to this, but I'm sure they can. It kind of galvanizes you. It kind of makes you feel like, okay, I can do this. I can make this happen. Especially, when you do the pitch sessions, you sit in on the workshops and you are just learning more and more about your craft, but you're also able to ask questions of other authors and publishers and editors that you would not have the ability to do if you were kind of just home. And post-COVID, of course, you're now able to do that on Zoom as well as in person. So I definitely think it's something that if you would like to be a published author, it's one of the things that can fast track you to getting that first book published.
Right. And a lot of people think that doing everything virtually is the best way to meet people, but it really isn't. Face to face is still the best. When you meet someone face to face, you're able to interact, you can have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
They're real and you're real. And whereas if you just send them a blind email or DM, they
Mm-hmm.
may or may not respond. But if you meet them in person, and if you are able to go place, to an event where you can meet many people in person,
Right.
in the industry, then that in it really is inspiring to just see so many people writing because uh they don't get, the African American book industry is almost like a well-kept secret in that you see a few people here and there that,
Mhm.
get above the fray, so to speak. You get one, it's like a one-off, one person
Right.
here, another person there. The major book events will have one or two Black authors. And when there are thousands and thousands of people writing, and many of them are making a living writing.
Right. And definitely I agree with you, Gwen. And what I think is that, trust me, I'm an introvert, so I would like nothing better than to be sitting home looking at somebody on screen like right now. But I can't stress the importance of being in the room, kind of like Hamilton, be in the room where it happens, because you like when you go to the conferences and stuff, you're there for a couple of days. So you're seeing people in lounges, you're seeing people in ballrooms, you're seeing people on elevators. And so you're seeing people across from you when y'all are all frantically trying to remember what you need to say about your book in 15 minutes or less in a pitch session. So there's like that air of panic and sweat, and you're just looking over and you're seeing a friend there. And so you're kind of connecting that way too. And it's just really important to be able to, have that connection. It's like, watching, say, for instance, church online as opposed to in the actual church house. There's a different feeling to that. And I think it's more powerful when you're in person. It's not to say that it can't happen when you're on a Zoom, because you do get those breakout rooms. You're able to kind of connect with people, but it's just different when you're, sitting there going, hey, you want to chat over a coffee or a tea and a scone, and just, hey, what do you do? What do I do? What do you write? What do you write? And so as you're meeting people, right, as you're meeting people throughout the weekend, you could have heard something where somebody said, hey, I'm looking for an author that writes in this genre. And maybe I don't write in that genre, but I remember maybe Gwen writes in that genre. So if I see Gwen, I'm going, hey, Gwen, go check out this person. They're looking for authors that are writing in this genre that you write in. And so that's kind of how you are able to make those connections in person that you may not be able to make online.
I think another part of it also is that when you go to these events, to pour in as much as you're trying to take away. I think sometimes we go to these events and we fangirl, and we want to try to attach ourselves to all of the people we think are the most popular. But really what we're doing is we're just trying to take and take and take. And we forget that, maybe that person just wants to learn about you, or maybe they just want to have a conversation. Maybe they just don't feel like talking about writing right now. They just want to laugh and talk about Beyond the Gates or something. So,
That
but when you
too.
start to treat people like humans, I think that's really when the relationships actually start. Like, for instance, Gwen and I are going to the National Book Club conference. We
Hmm.
can easily, every time we see an author, just talk shop, talk shop, talk shop, and never take time to get to know the person.
Hmm.
And they're just going to look at us as just another person trying to get something from them.
Right.
But we just talk and have a conversation, get to know each other. They're going to eventually find out about us. We're going to eventually find out more about them. But we'll establish a relationship that will make us memorable.
And that's true. And that's just like, everyday, workplace type of situations is not always about what you know. It's a lot about the relationships that you develop with other people. And one of the things that I like about going to these events in person is that you do have that time. I mean, granted, we're all there for a purpose. You've got, workshops you want to get into, you've got pitches you want to do, but you've got dinner, you've got meals, you can kind of break bread and talk to people and get to know people. pick people's brains about different things. What are you watching on TV? Well, I don't know. What are you watching? You know, that type of thing where you can actually develop relationships, because at the end of the day, it's the relationships that you're taking back home with you that you can then, you know, you can grow into more of a lasting type of relationship. And it's like a perfect opportunity to do just that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us about your books, your latest book in particular.
Well, my latest book, The Bodyguard's Deadly Mission, that came out at the end of last year. That is about a cyber threat analyst, Alexa King, who, after suffering through a traumatic event in her life and at the loss of one of her best friends, she decides to completely pivot her career. And she then decides that she wants to learn how to be a close protection person, like a bodyguard. And she wants to learn how to protect women because her friend ended up dying, and it was potentially at the hands of an abusive boyfriend. And so she kind of immerses herself, and she learns how to be a close protection bodyguard. She learns all of the ins and outs of that, how to carry herself, how to defend herself, how to defend other people. And so she learns this from a colleague of her dad's. She goes to his remote location in Colorado and learns the trade, so to speak. And she comes up against her dad's friend's son, Andrew Riker, who really doesn't think she's got what it takes to finish the program. And so he learns quickly that she does have what it takes, and she's going to do just that. And so there, you know, danger, there's a little romance, there's some suspense, there's hidden agendas, people after her. And so she just has nonstop danger and romance. That's one of my things, where danger meets romance throughout the book. And it's just one of the most exciting books that I've written, because I kind of had to learn. I had to train along with my character on, you know, how do you go about holding a gun? How do you go about shooting it? How do you go about doing this? How do you sweep somebody's feet out from under them? How do you do all sorts of things, and put myself in the mindset of making sure that what I'm writing about is researched and believable, and that it holds the reader's attention from start to finish.
Okay. So yeah, some people. Do you have a copy of the book handy?
I do.
Yeah. Show us the cover. The Bodyguard's Deadly Mission. Okay. Some people think that romance writers just basically just sit down and just write the story, and this is, you know, the boy meets girl and
Stick to the formula.
They smooch, and then you know, they have some kind of breakup. They have some kind of breakup, and then they get, you know, it's happily ever after in the end, and they don't realize the amount of research that goes into writing a romance.
So, Gwen, you just literally named the formula of like contemporary romance. It's boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl black. You have a black hole moment. And then you find a way to bring those two back together again. And that is one of the things that, you know, I started out writing just straight contemporary romance. And as the years have gone by, I've written sweet romance, contemporary. I've written Christian fiction, nonfiction. Romantic suspense is something that I gravitate towards, because somehow, even if I am writing just a straight romance, sometimes a little danger and intrigue ekes his way into the book. So I figured out, hey, might as well just, you know, also write romantic suspense. And so one of the things that I love about it is I get to come up with scenarios to put them in. And I always start anything I write with a what if. So like, say, for instance, for my book, 6 Days to Live, this literally was, what happens if a woman's ex-fiance shows up on her doorstep and has been injected with a biotoxin and has 6 days to live, or he dies. And How is she gonna deal with that? Because they have history, they have baggage, and yet she, as a scientist, has to reverse engineer a antidote to save his life in 6 days or less. So
Okay.
I just love writing things that A, intrigue me, and B, I'm always going to write something that has a happy ending because that's just how I like my romance. I like my romance with a happy ending, so I'm going to have a happy ending, and I'm going to challenge growth in my hero and heroine. I'm going to have train wrecks of conversations between the two of them because I love dialogue between my characters, and I love finding ways to take you outside of just the normal everyday. I love travel, so travel's always going to be a part of anything that I write. We're going to either be in London one day and Chamonix, France the next, or in North Carolina or Washington, D.C. You never know where we're going to be. But I just do enjoy having the ability and the flexibility to kind of put into the book whatever I want, but also making sure that I am bringing readers along on a journey and they're going to be in it with me from start to finish. And they're not going to toss my book to the side after the first 3 chapters. I really try to make sure that doesn't happen and that I weave what I learned into it without like bombarding them with a million different scenarios out the gate so that they go, oh boy, we can tell she researched because all of it's in the first 3 chapters. So there's a nuance there that I really I do like, and I've always liked about writing.
So how many published books do you have?
I am working on I think 19 total. I've written novellas. I've written devotionals. I've written several series in different aspects of romance. So yeah, I'm on my 19th book, starting the 20th. I just put in, I'm waiting to hear back on a couple proposals I put in for 2 new series that I'm working on. But yeah.
Okay, and do you write uh self-published, traditional,
I
or a
do.
hybrid? Hybrid.
So I'm a hybrid author, and for readers that may not know what that means, that's basically just I've been traditionally published with Kensington, with Harlequin, and then I also have self-published. So I'm also an indie author as well. So I've done both.
Okay. And so currently those
Do
two
you
books that you showed look
do
like
you have
Harlequin, I think.
Yeah, those two, The 6 Days to Live and The Bodyguard's Daily Mission, are with Harlequin for their romantic suspense line.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
okay? What I was going to ask is there a specific genre you like to write in for your indie fiction? How does that differ from your traditionally published work?
So there's not a specific genre I like to write in. If I'm going to self-publish something, I will write in whichever genre I'm thinking about at the time. So I've written contemporary romance in that genre. I love myself a sweet Christmas romance. So I'm definitely going to do something like that. I've written romantic suspense. I've also written, like I said, devotionals. I've got a devotional journal out right now called In the Spirit. And so it just literally just depends on what story is in my mind at the time and what avenue am I going down. Do I have the ability to get it into the traditional publishing house? If not, Mama's gonna self-publish it. So it's just one of the two.
And have you written with any other authors besides Pat Simmons? Like when you're on co-authors?
I've written in a world called King of the Castle. And that is with several authors that was spearheaded by Nelena Kai. So I wrote a book in that world called King of Hyde Park. And so I've done that. I have written also in the Mary Hart's series, also with Nelena Kai. I wrote a book in that called Journey. And that is a biblical story. It is both Christian and nonfiction at the same time. We each had characters from the Bible, and my story centers on Ruth and Naomi. And so my journey is a journey that is through divorce in my real life, having to just kind of navigate that and how God led me through. And on the other side of that, but that was like specifically the journey that I took. And so I enjoy writing with other authors. I love writing in different worlds and different parameters where we may have a common theme throughout each of our stories. And then it's off to us to kind of go off and develop the story within that that series.
Okay. Nalena has been on the show as an author / publisher and as an agent, you know, 2 different times where
And she's also been featured.
Yes,
I would say she's also featured at the National Black Book Festival.
yeah, she has been a couple of years ago, I think it was. Not this year, but a couple of years ago she was. So, and she talked about her agency work when she came, because she wears many hats.
Yes, she does, and she wears them all
Yes,
phenomenally.
She does.
I was like, I've done like some content editing before. I've done like blog talk radio where I interviewed other authors for the show. I've worn a lot of hats as well, and it takes a phenomenal amount of wherewithal to be able to do different things very, very well. And she definitely does the publishing, she does agenting, and she writes very well. And so that is one of also the fun things about being in the literary world. It's like, you know, where are your talents best suited? And you have the ability to kind of branch out and do different things. And so it's great to see where a lot of authors strike out and they try things that they may not have done before, and even write in genres that they may not have considered before, but that ends up, you know, working out well for them.
Yeah, some between romance and historical fiction, there are a lot of authors crossing genres.
Right. The best advice I ever got was from the late Leslie Estelle Banks, L.A. Banks. And she basically told me early on that it's like, as an author, it's like, write the story that's in you to write. Don't worry so much about where it's going to fit. There'll always be a home for it. And that's true. When I used to be the co-publicist for RT Book Lovers Convention, there were 15, 20 different genres within romance that we had authors for. And there's like a niche for everybody. Literally, is like whatever you can think of to write, there is a home for it. And so don't, you know, find yourself stressed out about being pigeonholed. And then too, try not to chase the next big thing, because it's like, if it's not in your heart to write, it'll be painfully obvious if you do write it and it's not really what's resonating within you to write. You have to write the stories that are in your spirit, in your heart to write.
Yeah, I agree. And also, if you try to do that, then you're not recognizing that a lot of times the thing that takes off, by the time you get into it, it's
Right.
It's not hot anymore.
On to the next
it's on to the next thing.
Right.
Because things don't stay hot forever.
Right.
That's just the nature of it. And so it's better. I hear people say, well, I want to write about X because it's hot right now. Well, do you have a story? I mean, do you even have something that you can write about? And you're just trying to chase what you think
like
is popular.
right now. It's like, because if you don't have it right now and it's hot right now, unless you are very, very fast with writing books, which I am not, girl. I got a daytime job, so I'm kind of slow sometimes with writing. But unless you're just like cranking out stories, you may miss that next big thing ride, by the time you get it out and ready and edited and published and all of that stuff, or got your book cover and you're ready to publish it, it could be something else that's the next big thing. So it's like, find what you gravitate toward and write in that, or find a niche that may not have a lot of people in it at the moment, and write that. I mean, trust me, I love historical romances all day long. I grew up on historical romances. Lisa has yet to write one, because that's a whole heap of research. But I so enjoy reading historical romances. I just do. So people are like, oh, well, do you just read them, or do you write them? I'm like, I have not written a historical yet. It's not to say I never will. It's just that, yeah, I haven't done that yet. But there's so many authors out there that are doing phenomenal jobs with historical romances. Piper Hughley and, Vanessa Riley and Vanessa Miller, Pat Simmons. I mean, all day long, I could definitely be, reading that. But for Lisa to write one, no, right. I'm still happy blowing stuff up. So
you make a great point, though. Another point about trying to write what you think is hot is it may not be in your heart to write it. So it's not going to come across as authentic. And then it's not going to reach the reader base that you think is going to reach. When I first started writing, erotica was the huge thing. Erotica and street fiction, those were the genres at that time.
Yep.
They were.
I can't write either one of them. And I feel uncomfortable writing sex scene after sex scene after. I'll give you one good one, maybe two, but I got to get on with the story.
Right.
I can't do it.
And see, I grew up
right in intense sex scenes. I mean, detailed. Like,
yeah, and when I first started writing, my first, aside from the first book deal, I got the next book deal when I wrote for Kensington, and when I wrote for the Harlequin Kamani line. I mean, as far as they were concerned, the hotter the better. And so I have written sex scenes. Do I write them now? No, I do not, because I always tried to keep in mind, what if my mom picked up this book and wanted to read it? Am I going to have my mother going, Lisa? So I tried to make sure that it's like, look, what's the minimum I could get away with? Okay, boom, done. But as I've gone on through the years, and like now, for instance, I just write clean romance. That's just what I do. And that's how I've gravitated toward. It's not to take anything from anybody else. And trust me, I've read some pretty steamy stuff, historicals and all of that stuff. But now for me in my house, I write clean romance. And so that's just something that I've segued to over the years, even writing the books that I wrote for Harlequin Romantic Suspense. They are clean reads, because I was like, can I write, romantic suspense without the sex? And they said, yeah. So that's what it did. And so that's just what I gravitate toward now in my writing career.
Well, so what are you working on for your next book in the last minute?
Okay, well, for the next book, what I'm writing on as a series is going to be a small town series set in North Carolina. And so that, I love me a small town romance too. So that is going to be set in North Carolina, and it's going to be several siblings. So it's going to be a couple of books in that series. And currently my agent is pitching that right now. And so, yeah, that's what's next for me.
Okay, well, congratulations on your success with your writing.
Thank you.
And thank you for being a guest on the show for the first time.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Rhonda.
And we really enjoyed your interview.
Thank you so much.
So we'll be seeing you, on social media at some event or just somewhere out there.
Absolutely.
In land.
Absolutely.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Now, I didn't see that anybody won the book.
No, somebody did. Somebody did.
Oh, who was it?
It
Kurt?
was Tony Bonita.
Tony Bonita. Okay, well, Tony, your book will be on its way to you in the coming days. And I know you have so many books, Tony, because I look at your book nut live stream sometimes, and this is going to add to your collection because she gets a lot of books too. People send her books, and she reads them. She's just amazing. Some people are writers, and some people are readers, and so Tony just supports authors and books and events and everything. So we appreciate you, Mama Tony, and I think we'll be seeing her in Atlanta, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
believe she said, in fact, she did, because I'm supposed to be bringing her something.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you. I've never met Mama Tony in person. So only
Me neither.
So we'll be meeting her in person for the first time to get an actual hug. So our next guest has a new book out. It's called Savvy Summers and the Sweet Potato Crimes.
I just love the title.
We're going to be giving away. This is an ARC, I think. Yeah, this is an advanced reading copy. But the book just came today, is the release date for the book. And so we are going to be giving this away at the end of the interview. So just stay tuned for the trivia question that will be associated with the giveaway. So Sandra, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you, Gwen, and thank you, Rhonda. I'm so happy to be with you this evening.
And we're happy to have you. Thank you for being here.
And you have your book covers right behind you the whole time, so people will know what it looks like, and it has that slice of sweet potato pie on the front. Now, this is a mystery. Is that
It is.
Okay.
It is it's a cozy mystery.
It's a cozy mystery. Okay. You're one of the few authors that we've had that write cozy mysteries, because Rhonda, correct me if I'm wrong. I know we've discussed cozy mysteries because one author we talked to, we asked him what it was, but I don't know if she was actually writing cozy mysteries herself.
Well, what she told me that cozy mysteries was, it's a mystery, but it's one that you get cozy with, and there's not going to be a lot of murder and a lot of sexual scenes and things like that. It's kind of a clean mystery, so to speak. Is that how your books are?
Well, maybe I should
call it rules.
Maybe I should call it cozy adjacent. Because it is, the elements of a cozy mystery are that it's always an amateur sleuth. So, it's not the police or a private detective or a lawyer. It's usually an amateur sleuth. Oftentimes it's a woman, not always, but oftentimes, and somebody with a kind of quirky job or avocation, like a beekeeper or, a winemaker or a bookstore owner or a barista, one of those, interesting, quirky kind of occupations. And it's usually set in a small town or rural area. So, the coziness of it is that, there's this innocent, almost old-fashioned sort of setting. An amateur sleuth, you're right, there's not a lot of, well, it's always about a murder because it's a murder mystery, but there's not a lot of violence on the page. And
right.
So it's not
or
a serial killer. It's not a serial killer, on the loose in a cozy.
Not generally, because cozy readers have certain expectations that they bring to the genre. However, I'm a Black woman. I don't know if you noticed that.
Okay.
And I'm a Black woman that writes about Black people.
Yes.
And so, and Savvy Summers, the protagonist of the novel is a mature Black woman who's been married twice. So she has a love life. I'm not going to pretend that she's a virgin or that she's never had sex. And, it's not set in a small town. It's set in a kind of cliquish community, this Woodlawn on the south side of Chicago. So it might have this feeling of a small town, but it's in a major city. And
Okay.
it's, set among a certain, kind of, so it takes place in a soul food restaurant and all of the different people that come in and out. And you might have somebody that, well, I do, who might utter a cuss word or two.
Okay.
Um, so it might be, instead of being PG rated, maybe it's PG-13.
Okay.
Or,
Okay.
what's the next level? PG-18,
I
maybe.
don't think I don't know. I think it's R after that.
Okay.
Yeah, PG-13 is R.
We'll go with
Yeah, well, yeah.
PG-13.
The ratings are not where they used to be. The line has shifted. What used to be R is now PG-13. And what
Oh,
used to be X is now R. And I don't even know if there's an X anymore because they show everything just
Oh, there's
about
another rating. It's called NC-17.
which
what?
is
I think that's be somewhere between PG-13 and R.
okay.
All
But
right.
people can see everything now. So it really doesn't matter that much. And so it's kind of like on your books, you remember the old show, and I don't know if I ever even watched the show, but Murder She Wrote, that's like a
Yeah,
cozy mystery.
that is. It's
Okay.
Jessica Fletcher is an older woman who lives in the small town of Cabot Cove. And for a small town, there's a surprising number of murders. I mean, there's a murder every week. And that's one of the things that, I kind of struggle with cozy mysteries because how, at the rate people die in some of these small towns, there'd be nobody left.
Right. The population is depleting, rapidly depleting. There
On the other hand, there are plenty of people in Chicago.
yeah, well, in Chicago, sometimes the murders are these multiples in one day. But you're saying Woodlawn is like exclusive community in Chicago.
Woodlawn is a changing community in Chicago. It is a Black community, but it's changing because it's within in the shadow of the University of Chicago, which is a very upscale, wealthy private institution. So there's a certain amount of gentrification that's going on in Woodlawn.
Mhm.
Um, and the population is shifting slowly, shifting. So that becomes part of the story. In fact, that's a major storyline in
Okay.
Savvy Summers and the Sweet Potato Crime because she has a modest little cute soul food restaurant sitting on very valuable property, and somebody wants to slide that from underneath her.
Okay. So
So, in a
developers have her in their crosshairs.
exactly. So she's fighting on two sides. One is trying to figure out the person who she believes is responsible for a murder that takes place in her restaurant, and her prize-winning sweet potato pie is being blamed for it. And then on the other hand, she's trying to save her business from, these unscrupulous developers who want to buy it for a song and, build I don't know, a big box store or
Right.
something in its place.
Or some expensive condos or something.
Yeah, something that changes the character of the neighborhood and drives her out of business. So I had a lot of fun writing it. It's a little slightly on the racy side. I heard the Lisa, the previous author, talking about, writing sex scenes and that sort of thing. And there usually aren't a lot of sex scenes in cozy mysteries. But, there are a couple of them in here, and, not explicit. Um, but there is, for example, it's discovered that, the elderly womanizer who dies after eating sweet potato uh, pie in the restaurant has been poisoned by an overdose of Viagra.
Not a dope. Oh, so
So he
they, I
died
guess they died
smiling.
kind of happy.
Is that, yeah, that's what I said. He died smiling.
Well, it's, an overdose of Viagra is painful, from what I
Mm,
understand.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
okay.
that's, but it's also humor. It's a culinary cozy. So that means it's set in a food industry. The culinary cozies are in bakeries, or in,
Hmm.
um, you know, uh,
Restaurant.
um, restaurants, food festivals, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that contributes to because food can be just such a cozy and nurturing part of life,
Right.
and but it's a murder mystery that Savvy Summers, a reluctant sleuth, she doesn't want to go out there, you know, combing Woodlawn for murderers, but she's trying to save her business. And so she's reluctantly drawn into the quest. But, there's a lot of humor too. She has this sassy young assistant sous chef called Penny, who is a hoot and a riot. She gives people very pointed nicknames, like the alderman in the ward, his Delbert Do Right Daily. She calls him Do Wrong. Um, and Henpecked Henry, and, those sorts of quirky characters.
So culturally, you had your tie in with sweet potato pies. That is culturally very commonly served in the African American community at holidays and just regular days.
Yeah,
It's
that's
one of
true.
those staples for dessert that people serve. And I don't cook them that much. Normally, when I do sweet potatoes, it's the casserole with the marshmallows on it. But
You like that?
oh yeah, it's delicious.
See, I'm a sweet potato pie kind of girl. My great aunt taught me how to make sweet potato pie back when I was married. She found out that my husband at that time
Like the
loved sweet potato pie. So
mhm.
she was like, "Well, Rhonda, you need to learn how to make sweet potato pie because your husband likes sweet potato pie." And so I learned how to make sweet potato pie, and people like my pie.
Rhonda, that's so coincidental because Savvy Summers, she learns how to cook soul food from her Mississippi-born great aunt. People
Okay.
up here in Chicago, we're 1 or 2 generations removed, usually from
From
Right.
the South.
Mississippi, or it
Uh-huh.
might be Tennessee or somewhere in the deep South.
Hmm.
There's a kind of a route that, well, it's the Illinois Central Railroad, that goes from New Orleans up to Chicago. And it's her great aunt Essie who is the one who teaches her how to cook. And my family, it was my great aunt O'Seal Patterson, who was a Mississippi migrant, although she stopped in Memphis and lived in Memphis for a while. Then she came to Chicago where she did day work, but she operated a little restaurant out of her kitchen, and she had a couple of soul food eateries on the west side of Chicago, and she's the one who taught me how to cook soul food.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I can make a sweet potato pie, but because it's kind of the same ingredients as the casserole. You make it similarly, but normally I will make the casserole. But my husband does love sweet potato pies, and so I buy him one about once a month just for him because
He
it's
gets
not
his
one
own
thing.
pie.
He gets his own pie.
Lucky fella.
And he'll eat it like in one day. One time he ate it like in one day, and he said his stomach was feeling funny. I said, "Yeah, that's what you ate that
Because you ate an entire pie.
pie." I said, "You need to space it out." So,
So, I did want to tell you about some of the comments that we've been getting. First of all, Tony Benito wants to know if this is your first book since Hot Johnny and the Women Who Loved Him.
Oh, okay. Tony knows her stuff or his stuff. That's one of those
Her stuff.
unisex names. Yes,
Yeah.
it's my sort of first project since Hot Johnny and the Women Who Loved Him, which was my last novel. But in the interim, it's been a number of years. I've written in various genres, short fiction, essays, and the like. I edited an anthology on the 100th centennial of Gwendolyn Brooks's birthday. Gwendolyn Brooks was a poet laureate of Illinois, and the poetry consultant for the Library of Congress. But it is my first novel in many years. And it's also a new chapter for me because my background is in literary and historical fiction writing. But I've always read mysteries and I've always loved mysteries. And when I retired, about 10 years ago, I said that I am going to write. It's my put up or shut up era. I'm going to write whatever I want to write. All of the different things that I've thought about writing, I'm going to try my hand at it. And mystery writing was one of those. So here we are.
okay. And then Ginger Mans says she enjoyed the book. So she either got an art or she got it as soon as it came out and read it already.
Thank you, Ginger.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, my publisher sent out a lot of ARCs to reviewers and book influencers. ARCs, for people who might not know, are advanced review copies that will be either, I think you have an ARC, so
Yeah.
it could be physical or it could also be digital. And the industry has changed so much since I was published the last time. Back then, there was no such thing as ARCs, and social media marketing was negligible, in this
Mhm.
new era. For me, at least, it's a new era.
Yeah,
Social
now it's
media is
necessary,
absolutely,
not negligible anymore. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a steep learning curve that I've had to, kind of negotiate.
Now is your title, and I ask this question often because I know editors change titles, and it's probably 50-50 or maybe less than 50-50 for people who with traditionally published publishers that their working title ended up making the final cut. So was this your working title or did it end up changing or?
Well, sort of, kind of. So my original title was Sweet Potato Crimes. And I think my editor foresaw that this was going to be a series. I mean, I always hoped it would be a series, but I had a one book deal, so there was never a guarantee. But she suggested Savvy Summers and the Sweet Potato Crimes, which is pretty genius because, I went on to get a contract for book number two,
Oh,
which is Savvy Summers and the Po' Boy Perils. So Savvy Summers
the
is
poor
the
boys.
series
Okay.
title. Yeah,
Okay, so it's gonna be food. So this is see, it's
Yes.
a recurring theme. It's gonna be food, and
absolutely. I
Savvy's.
mean, she is a chef.
Yeah, she is a chef.
And
So
yeah, and this is a little bit of a departure because she's starting to experiment with New Orleans Creole cuisine, um,
okay.
which is she's her background is as a teacher and a high school vice principal, so she's not a classically uh, trained chef at Le Cordon Bleu or anything like that, but she does take a course in
She just knows how to
Creole
cook.
cookery, and she, falls in love with like gumbo and, po' boys and beignets and those sorts of things.
Well, Rhonda is a New Orleans native, so when she reads this, she'll
That's
be
right.
able to tell you if the stuff is right.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe I need to hire Rhonda as a consultant,
There
a
we go.
Creole
Because
a
I'm a
Creole
gumbo
food
connoisseur.
consultant.
Oh, okay. Do you make gumbo, Rhonda?
Absolutely. My grandmother taught me how to make gumbo.
Okay. I had never heard of gumbo before I moved to Texas, and that's because half of Louisiana is in our state. And that was because I'm
Yeah.
from the East Coast. So we had what was called bouillabaisse, or it's French. It's like a French
Mhm.
version of gumbo, but it's not as hearty as gumbo.
Mm-mm.
But that's what I ate at restaurants on the East Coast. But they probably have gumbo now. But when I was living there and growing up and in college, when we would go to restaurants, it was a bouillabaisse. It wasn't so gumbo was a new thing when I moved here. And it's definitely not everybody can make it. And some people shouldn't.
It's definitely it's a skill making a good pot
Yes.
of gumbo. Now we had Mississippi gumbo, which I don't know. I guess it probably traveled from Louisiana,
It could have. I've never heard
um,
of Mississippi gumbo. I've never,
yeah,
well, I've never heard it called that. I'm sure that there are people in Mississippi who make a fine gumbo. I've just never heard of it called Mississippi gumbo.
yeah. Well, I have, but it's a little
Mm.
different.
Okay.
It's a little, that like some of the ingredients, it's not as likely to have seafood, to have chicken and sausage and that sort of thing. But Savvy Summers, one of her quests is to learn how to make an authentic Creole, well, authentic Creole dishes, including the po' boy, which,
Okay.
yeah, that it winds up being an important part of the plot in the
Okay.
novel.
Now, are you a cook yourself?
I am.
Okay, because you
I
asked
love to
about food
cook.
and dishes. So, that made me think that maybe you were a cook yourself.
I can cook now. I mean, I
Okay.
don't, my daughter, my adult daughter lives with me. She moved back to Chicago from New York, where she had lived for a number of years. So she does a lot of the cooking now, but I'm still, called upon to, especially holidays, to make the, sort of traditional uh, kind of soul food or soul food fusion dishes because, soul food has changed in its
Yes.
journey,
Yes.
over the past 100 years. We don't use a lot, possum and stuff like that, that grandma and them, nobody wants to eat that anymore. Or, you know, raccoons and turtle soup, people still love gumbo, but and those sorts of things. But we also, our tastes have become a little bit more sophisticated and
Fine.
cosmopolitan, and we might want some, salmon,
Yeah.
prepared soul
Yeah.
food style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm a cook as well. And I do soul food, but I also do some more modern dishes. And whenever I cook something with a recipe, I give it the Gwen spin. That's what I call it because
The Gwen spin.
it's not going to be exactly. I enhance it and make it better. So,
Well, that's
so
the
Not the
creativity
Lynn
of a
spin, but the
chef.
Gwen spin.
the Gwen spin.
Yeah, what did Banks always say? You steal from the best and make it your own.
Yeah,
That's
I
the way
find
to do
a
it.
lot of recipes are missing seasoning or and I'll give you an example. I cooked it's a soup called creamy Parmesan Italian soup. It's a light soup. It's similar to something you would get at Olive Garden, but has a cream base. It has cream, heavy cream and Parmesan cheese in it and chicken broth. Well, the recipe calls for a pound of Italian sausage. And I said, you know what? I think if I do half of that, it'll be more of a soup.
Mhm.
And it is so good with just a little, just half a pound of that Italian sausage. Just really makes it a soup.
Yeah, girl,
So,
that's, may use a recipe and maybe you'll make it that way the first time, but then from
right.
then on, you
The,
tweak it to your
yeah,
own
yes,
taste.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, that
Well,
sounds like what
Tony
Savage.
Benita said,
Well, what did she say? What did Tony say?
oh, she said she's a country girl. Give her her
Oh, give me
rabbit,
some
coon, and
rabbit, coon,
squirrel.
and squirrel. I have I ever I haven't had rabbit, never had coon, but rabbit and squirrel I had as a kid, but not
I've
since
never
then.
had squirrel. I have had rabbit.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
we lived in a rural area and my dad was a pastor of like four rural churches and the people couldn't pay him that much. And a lot of times they paid him in whatever they caught or killed, you know.
Mhm.
So they
Mhm.
would bring rabbits and squirrels, butchered already, but my mother would make something with them. And so, but I hadn't had any since then.
I did want to also read what Ginger said. She said there's an audio version of as well, which I love audiobooks. So this comment resonates with me. She says she ordered the audio version today, and Sandra's novel reads like a movie or a TV series. The characters really came to life. I felt like I know them or have known many of them.
Oh, see,
Uh,
that's a ringing endorsement, and right
it
off the bat
is.
on your release date.
Yeah, I this is the first time I've had an audiobook version of any of my books. And it was a real interesting process, working with the person who creates the audiobook is called a producer. And she wound up sending me like a dozen different audition tapes of women um, reading a certain passage of the
Mm-hmm.
novel, and then I got to pick, the one that I liked, and it was fascinating because, listening to these, it's a particular skill, audiobook narration. Most of the narrators are actors, but who are
Hmm.
especially, skilled at reading audiobooks. But some of them sounded too young. Quite a few of them had New York accents, and the Black New York accent is very specific.
It
You
is.
know, you can hear it, and this is a Chicago one, so and Chicago, we speak a little bit slower. It's still, like a little bit of country twang. Um, so I, eventually hit upon a narrator who had that special kind of voice that sounded like it could be Black
Yeah.
Chicago.
Did
Now,
you get your book narrated through ACX or another platform?
I'm not really sure what platform the producer used. She wound
Okay.
up sending me those audition tapes as a Google, some kind of a Google document. Anyway,
Okay.
that's how I listened to them. And then when the audiobook was complete, they just, sent me the audiobook. I have not really experienced a lot of audiobook. I guess you don't read audiobooks, you listen to them. But I think I'm gonna start uh,
try.
listening,
Uh,
yeah,
but
because
the way
it's
my
something.
schedule is set up, I love audiobooks. I listen to them while I'm driving. So that's why a lot of times I don't mind driving alone because I can listen to my book. Or if I go for a long walk, I listen to an audiobook. And sometimes when I just need to, like at work, because there's so much activity that goes on around me, I will just put an audiobook in and then I'll get some work done that way. So
Yeah,
I love audiobooks. I don't have time for physical books as much as I used to. But it doesn't mean that I've given up on reading. I just do it a different way.
yeah. It's still storytelling is storytelling. Every now and then, somebody's like, "Oh, the death of the book." But books are well, as far as
They
I'm
can't declare
concerned, they will never die. They might change form and format,
Yeah.
but books will always be around because storytelling. I mean, they wrote books on the caves.
death.
You know what I'm saying?
They did.
Yeah.
They did. They wrote stories then. So,
Hmm.
in our final minute, you are going to be doing quite a book tour. You have a list of places you're going, and one of them is you're coming to Houston, where I live, um, to a place called Kindred Stories, and that's in later this month.
Yeah, that's I think that's a virtual. Um,
It's a virtual panel.
yeah.
So
So
you won't
some of my appearances are virtual and some are
this one.
physical.
I
Yeah.
need to find out how to tap into that Kindred Stories one. So um, I need to contact them and find out if they're making it open to the public and
Yeah, I'm pretty
access.
sure it will be.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your book, and
Thank you, Gwen.
we are giving away this art. And the trivia question is: Savvy Summers has she's a chef and she's opened a restaurant. What is the name of the restaurant? So if you get the answer correct, you get this ARC mailed to you. And if you have not won a book before, DM us your mailing address so we can send it to you. Well, Sandra, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you. I enjoyed this thoroughly.
Well, we
Take
And
care.
enjoyed you. Thank you so
congratulations.
much.
Bye.
Okay, good night. All right. We're bringing on our final guest. And for those who missed it at the beginning, Rhonda and I will be in Atlanta this coming weekend for the National Book Club Conference. So we have a table there where I'll be selling our literary themed T-shirts. Rhonda has books, and sometimes she'll have a basket to give away. I'm not sure what all she has, but we will be there. We both fly in on Thursday, but it starts on Friday morning. So we look forward to seeing those of you who'll be there. We look forward to seeing you there. So our final guest is Tasha Griffith, and she is with BK Royston Publishing, and she has a book called Know Your Worth and Embrace Your Worth in Christ. So as soon as we get her on camera, we will welcome her to the show. I hope she didn't log in and then walk away. That happens sometimes. So, hello. Can you hear?
Can you hear us?
I'm still trying to hear.
Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can't hear. I don't know I can't hear.
You cannot hear us? We can hear you.
Okay. Let's see.
So normally that's the issue, that we can't hear the person.
Sometimes
You have your volume down?
your computer might be on mute and you don't realize it.
Or is your volume down on your computer?
Can't hear. I still can't hear.
Sometimes the volume is all the way down and you just need to raise it. She can't hear what I'm saying.
I have my mic on, and my speaker.
We can
Are you
hear
on
you
mute?
fine. We can hear you fine.
Let me see. Page. I can't hear.
Well, we haven't said anything.
Turn up the volume.
You can't hear it. Yeah, try turning up the volume on your computer.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. All right. Now.
Was your computer on mute, Tasha?
No, it wasn't on mute. It said turn up the volume. It was right there at the very top. I'm like, okay, what is going on? There is something at the top, but we got it. I got it.
Okay, all right.
That's all right. Here now. So welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is
excited to have you.
Yes.
And say hello to Julia Royston next time you talk to her. She BK Royston Publishing is a friend of the show, and she will also be here in Houston for the National Black Book Festival. So
I saw Julia in Indiana this past weekend while I was there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what she said. Because isn't she in Indiana? Isn't she based in Indiana?
Kentucky.
She's not. I don't. Is she in actually Indiana? I
Mm-mm.
thought she was close to there, close to Indiana.
Close to
Yeah,
Indiana.
she's in Kentucky. Well,
Kentucky.
Yeah,
not
that's
close
it.
to Indiana, but yeah.
Okay.
That's
Mhm.
right across the bridge.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yes. So, in fact, I stayed in Louisville
Oh, okay.
for something. I went to a conference, and well, actually ended up staying in Indiana
Hmm.
because I had to go. The hotel was across the bridge.
Okay.
It was right, like the bridge takes you to. It was, like the next state is right
Hmm.
there, right
Yeah,
there.
that's
So that's the only
Southern
time.
Indiana.
Yeah, okay, that's the only time I've been to Indiana is when I stayed at the hotel when I was really going to Louisville, Kentucky. So, so anyway, now where do you live?
Well, I am in Louisville, Kentucky, but I was born and raised in East Chicago, Indiana.
East Chicago,
I know
Indiana.
that
Oh.
stumps everybody every time.
Well, I'll tell you that I was stationed at Fort Knox, Kentucky, so I know Louisville,
Hmm.
but the other town, I don't know that one.
Well,
East Chicago, Indiana.
everybody knows Gary. So you know Gary,
Yes,
right? Okay,
yes.
Never
so
heard of it. I'm just
it's not that far from Gary, so it's about
Okay,
30, yeah, about 20, 30 minutes away. Yeah. Mm,
okay, all right. Well, tell us about your book, Know Your Worth,
okay.
Embrace Your Worth in Christ.
Well, it's a
Do you have a copy that you can show us?
yes, absolutely. I'll show it to you here. Okay.
Okay, all
All
right.
right. It is Know Your Worth, Embrace Your Worth in Christ. And it's birthed out of my passion from when I had to grow as a Christian woman to understand who I was in Christ. Um, and I really had very low self-esteem growing up. Um, and it's because of some traumas that I faced. And I think we all have traumas because as an educator, I recognize that everybody has a backpack that they carry. And
Mhm.
and we call it the invisible backpack. And we have all faced some type of trauma. And those traumas inform us at times of who we are. But as I grow in Christ, I recognize that I am no longer bound to those things in my backpack. I'm more so embracing the things that Christ has said about me as opposed to what the world says about me. So, this book basically is taking you on a journey, and it's an acronym, which is worth, which is first you walk with God, and that's where the journey begins. And it takes you through a challenge to actually take the time out to get to know the God that actually created you, that actually gave His life for you, so that you can fully understand how much He loves you, an unconditional love. So it starts right there in that chapter, and moving on to just opening your heart to the vision that he has for you as a Christian, rejecting the image that the lies that the enemy has told you about yourself, whether it be something that someone else has said about you. Also, trusting God's to order your steps, that He has a plan for your life. And the
Yeah.
final H is the healing, through all that journey and that the challenges, because I have a worth challenge in there, so that you can find healing and finally walk and maximize who you are in Christ. And that has blessed me throughout my whole life. I wanted it for my girls. I wanted to leave a legacy. I have two girls, and I watched women in my family so much accept less than God's best for them. And I just wanted to be able to leave that legacy for them and just to bless others.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
I find that sometimes, you know, I learned a long time ago actually that, we ask God for forgiveness
Yeah.
and God forgives us,
Yeah.
but we don't forgive ourselves.
Mhm.
And because we don't forgive ourselves, we start to accept less than what we actually deserve. And
Absolutely.
so we don't actually really learn our worth because we're
Mhm.
still too busy punishing ourselves
Yeah.
for something that we already asked God forgiveness for.
Absolutely. He said, if you confess your sins, he said he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and clean us up from all unrighteousness. I mean, the righteous man falls 7 times, but the difference is we know to get back up again, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so if you walk with God, you'll be able to understand what God says, and then you'll be able to reject the lies of the enemy. So you're absolutely right.
Love
And
that.
forgiving ourselves is important, but
Mhm.
also I feel like women today are not embracing dignity
Yes.
as much as people did in the past.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, you know, it's important to, regardless of, you have to appreciate yourself,
Mhm.
and dignity, having dignity with what you do is part of that process.
Yeah.
And some attention seeking behavior is
Mhm.
really not um, expressing that. It is
Mhm.
not demonstrating the work. Now, I hear a lot from educators and
Mhm.
also just people in the education industry
Mhm.
about the mental health crisis that we're having with our young people.
Yes.
Um, uh, Social media is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And also, I believe that a lot of parents are so too busy for their children. If you
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying, they're not really being hands on and
Mhm.
paying attention to what's going on with their children.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of children don't feel like they have anyone to talk to.
Mhm.
And so much is driven now by what they see on these, social media platforms.
Absolutely.
If they put something out there, it doesn't get enough likes, or
Mhm.
it's just so it's really troubling because we don't really know where that's going to go in the future in
Yeah.
terms of what are these people
Mhm.
who have mental health issues,
Mhm. Yeah.
what's going to happen with that. And we need more professionals
Yeah.
that can help with that
Yeah.
in our
Absolutely.
schools and just everywhere. But parents need to pay attention to their children and
Absolutely.
not be self-absorbed,
Yeah.
um, because
It
you only get one shot at raising your
you
children.
you do, and that's, I mean, parenting takes intentionality. You
Yeah,
have to be intentional.
yes,
And so it's very important that you allow yourself to be that primary influence for your child. And a lot of times social media does inform our students, our children, as far as what beauty is. Like you said, there's as far as how we carry ourselves as far as young ladies, and it's different, but again, there's so much trauma. I'm an administrator in an elementary school, so I am faced with a lot of that trauma that they face. So all we could do is example before them. We wrap around services the best that we can. But again, ultimately, it's going to take the parents to be more intentional in the lives of their children. But the sad part is at times is the parents don't have anything to pour into their kids themselves. So if I don't know who I am and I don't know
Mhm.
my worth, then it's hard for me to pour into my daughter. And because she's mimicking me and she's seeing the things that I'm doing to try, like you said, the attention seeking. And so if there's the behavior there, there's a root to that behavior. Somewhere along the lines, that's how they have been informed of their worth and their beauty. And I've seen it all too often. And that's why I say, if you embrace who you are in Christ, that you're worth dying for. You've got the God of the universe that came down to die for you with an unconditional love. There was nothing you had to do. And if they can understand that, it will break them free of the chains and what has been placed on them of what the world deems as worth.
Now, um, let's say I'm a a young girl, maybe a teenager, maybe early 20s.
Yeah.
Shoot, these days even 30s and 40s. But
Yes. Yes.
you
Yes.
know, I hear what you're saying,
Yes.
and I believe God loves me.
Yes.
But when I look around, I see the girls who dress a certain way or act a certain way getting all of the attention, and
Hmm.
I'm not getting attention.
Hmm.
I don't have a lot of friends around me. I don't have a boy that's interested in me. But I have to keep reminding myself that God loves me, but I'm like, okay, but I'm still lonely. How do you help somebody work through those feelings?
It's well, you just was on my street because that was me. That
Mm,
was me at that same age because um, I'm a survivor of abuse, from, an early age. So I was very shy. I didn't really want to be hanging around a whole lot of people, not because I was just being mean, but it was just my traumas. God had to get me alone to myself to help me to recognize the difference between being lonely and being alone. Loneliness was that feeling that I was,
right.
you know. But
Mm.
once I began to walk with God, I recognized that I was not alone. And it was in those times that I started in my early 20s. I started fasting. I started recognizing that I had to embrace God as being the only audience that I had, the only relationship I had to prepare me to even be whole for any other relationship. And it's not an easy journey. It is hard to really pull away and just walk with God. But once I recognize, my one of my favorite songs was by Commission, No More Loneliness. That song got me through so many nights and in my early 20s, because I was like, well, why can't I have a boyfriend, in that time? And I didn't understand it.
Hmm.
But again, I had to recognize the difference between being alone and being lonely. And that loneliness was a feeling. And I had to recognize that only God could fill that void. Because the more that I tried to fill it, then I found myself on dates and being impacted by having other individuals in my life that didn't mean me any good. So that it's it's hard, but at the end of that, it was well worth it because now I was able to open my eyes to see who my husband was. And I've been married 27 years. I met my husband when I was 18 years old, 27 years.
Okay.
But before that, I really didn't date a lot. I didn't have like all the boyfriends that everybody else had. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
it
there
worked.
is such a thing as having too many boyfriends.
Yes.
And not all boyfriends are good.
No, no, ma'am.
So,
No, ma'am.
it's the quality, not the quantity.
Yeah, but it's like she said, you're looking at it and it looks good. They're getting the flowers. You're in high school and everybody getting the flowers. They getting the little
Yeah.
candy grams. You want everybody wants it. My auntie, would say, well, you don't know what they doing to get it, but that's not what you want to hear when you're in high school. You understand what I'm saying? And she was saying, I
Exactly.
but in that moment, that's not what you want to hear. All you know is what you're feeling. And those feel it's painful. But at the end of it, when I
Yeah.
went through that, I would not take that journey. I would not give it up for all, like you said, all the little boys that, dating everybody. I don't have I have regrets, but I don't have a whole lot of regrets because I chose the road less traveled. So,
Yeah. Well, I think some young people, children, I'm talking
yeah.
more on kids. I feel like they just need a hug.
Yeah.
Some of these kids, it just seems like they're not getting love. They're not
Yeah.
loved on.
Yeah.
And I mean in a good way,
Yeah.
the right way. But a hug, it's actually solves some problems. It can make a person feel like, okay, I can do this, or I can get through this,
Hmm.
or someone does care. Someone is
Yeah.
listening to me. Someone is reaching out to me, and
Yeah.
so that's why it can be a parent. Parents need to do it too, but sometimes it can be a teacher or a counselor
Yes,
or
absolutely.
someone else that's in the child's life. It's
Yes.
all done correctly, you know.
Amen to that.
You know, and when it's a man with girls, that's you know, you really need to
Yes.
not do that because
Yeah.
it can be misinterpreted and all kinds of bad things can
Yes,
happen.
ma'am.
But I just feel like a lot of the kids they just don't get enough hugs, you know. And I you know, I bet you if someone did a study on people in prison, they didn't get hugs. They got a lot less hugs than other people.
Yeah.
You know. Um, so anyway, I don't know if any research has been done along those lines, but I just believe that, you know, that if they have a hard edge, a lot of that is because they haven't been loved on by a parent or someone in their lives. They just
Absolutely.
kind of had to just figure it out for themselves and, you know, but any person who grows up with a mother who cares, that's a major benefit. I mean, it's not something money can buy.
No.
It's you know priceless.
Mhm.
That's the first experience that you have with a relationship and
Yes,
love.
yes,
It's your parents, you
yes,
know, and it forms you because it's like, well, if I don't have the love of my mom or love of my father, you know what I'm saying? You start questioning whether or not you're worth being loved. You
right.
understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
Or,
we do.
or recognizing what's love and what's not.
Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely. That misperception of what it is to be loved. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Right,
And
because some young women will grow up thinking that abuse is love, a
yes.
form of love,
Oh,
you
absolutely.
know. And some women unfortunately saw it at home,
They
but
did.
some didn't necessarily see it at home. They just are with someone, and some men who are sick will say that you know I did this because I love you, or
Mhm.
it's really possessiveness and you know a sadistic spirit. It is
Yes.
not. Has
Absolutely.
no because if someone loves you, they don't want to hurt you.
Hmm.
Period.
Hmm.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. That's what, you know, we always talk about how we have to get away from when in elementary school, when the little boy is hitting on the girl and just pushing her. You
And they
remember
say, "Oh,
elementary
he
school?
just
Oh,
likes
he just
you."
likes you, right? Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Like, no, I
Mhm.
think that, I mean, that normalizes abuse, you know, at such an early age, you know, when you say, okay, they like you, and that's why they're hitting you on you. That's why they're pushing you or pulling your ponytail, you know. So we can't, I think we need to stop normalizing that
Well,
as
I
well.
think I see it two ways. One, we do need to stop normalizing
Yeah,
it, but for both boys and girls.
absolutely.
Because for boys, that's the only way they know how to communicate. They're paying
Yes.
attention to her, and the only way they know how to pay attention is
Yeah.
negative behavior. So we have to
Absolutely.
teach them how to give positive behavior, and
Exactly.
then we have to teach girls not to accept it.
Exactly. I think there is a double standard between how we raise our girls and how we raise our boys. You know, for girls, it's like we shield them and we're like really hard on them when it comes to dating. But then when the boys, you know, we're patting them on the back. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or how many
Mm-hmm.
notches they get on their belt. So then that sets the girls up for failure and it sets the boys up for failure. So it's a double standard. So
Right.
we do have to, like you said, we have to process those feelings with because they're real. They might like the little girl, but then they have to be taught what that looks like as far as
Mm-hmm.
you know, sharing their feelings and just processing those feelings because they can't do it on their own, right? So they need us to kind of help guide them with that. And it happens, I can't tell you, in elementary school all the time. You can see it. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying when the little girls like the little boys and you know, because Pew, I mean, I taught third, fourth, and fifth grade. Well,
Okay.
starting in second grade, I had little ones. They were trying to have boyfriends and girlfriends, but I was like, in my classroom, we don't have boyfriends and girlfriends, even though it was allowed at home because we're like, we don't get academics, we're scholars in here.
Oh,
But it's real, you know, those feelings start earlier than you realize because puberty starts at the age of 8. So we have to start processing those things with our kids at an early age.
Yeah, I think it's something in the food.
Yeah, is it a food?
I mean, it is starting earlier than it
Yes.
used to.
Oh, yes, ma'am. It's coming from somewhere,
Yeah,
but it's
it's
starting.
somewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Too much processed food. So, what do you do with your book in terms of presenting it to people? Are you using it in the church setting, in a Sunday school setting, a youth group setting? How are you spreading the message in your book?
Well, I have just this is my first book.
Okay.
And now I'm moving towards, I have been approached, about using it in a group setting. But it's the design of it in its truest form right now. It's like a journal for a young woman to go through to be able to journal her journey. As she takes the worth dare to start doing something because it builds. You start with walking with God by actually doing devotionals or just trying to really get to know the God of the universe. And then moving on to doing those affirmations so that you can truly understand who you are in Christ. So it kind of builds for each chapter. So in its truest form, it is definitely a journey that someone goes on themselves, but it's not something that a group can't do. You can have a group of women to do it together. Excuse me, so that they can support one another throughout that journey.
So it's not really a book that you can just sit down and read from cover to cover in one sitting.
No,
It's something that they're going to go back to and revisit.
absolutely.
Maybe do a chapter and then walk
Hmm.
away, think about it,
Absolutely.
do the do the work, and then come back. Okay.
Because I don't want it to be something that they read and put down. I want it to be life changing
Okay.
because it changed my life and it makes a difference. It's a everyday journey. It's not something that you just start and pick up and put down for that moment. It can truly change your life if you actually apply it.
Love it.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, show your book to our audience one more time,
Okay.
and so they can see, know your worth. And where is the book available?
It's available on Amazon.
Okay, so people can
Mhm.
buy it there.
Yes,
And it's published by BK Royston Publishing.
absolutely. Yes, it is.
Okay. Well,
Okay. Well, the link is in the chat, so we hope that everybody will go and click the link, purchase this book, and gift it to a young lady in your life, especially one who's on her journey of self-discovery.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you all so much. You all are absolutely amazing. I truly enjoyed talking with you all. And thank you for allowing this safe space and platform for us. I appreciate you all.
And I thank you for writing this book. And I really, really, really hope you help a lot of young ladies. I wish I had had a book like this when I
Mhm.
was going through my own journey at a younger age.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
have a great night.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Well, we're at the end of our show. I do want to. I think I saw that this book was won by
It
Curtis.
was. It
Okay,
was won by Curtis.
he answered, and the answer was the name of the restaurant is Essie's Place. So Sandra kind of alluded to it during the interview. She said that I think it was named after the aunt or something, and the aunt's name was Essie, but she didn't say the whole restaurant's name. So we were able to give it away, and Curtis has won many books. And congratulations again. So, as I mentioned, Rhonda and I will be in Atlanta this coming weekend for the National Book Club Conference. And this is both of our first time going. And so we're are sure to see many, many, many old friends and meet some new ones.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So Rhonda, I'll see you Thursday in Atlanta. And any of you all who are going to be there, come by our table for Black Authors Matter TV. So that's the show for tonight. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.